It's 100% Elliot. Everything's Elliot's fault.
Correlation does not imply causation. There's one thing I learned in statistics class on.
Correct.
So just because lots of people get eaten by sharks on the same day at high temperatures does not mean that selling ice cream means people die from sharks. Wait, no, this is this was a math problem or a statistics problem I did once where they're like, according to statistics, more like people are likely to get eaten by sharks on really hot days. And the answer is because people on really hot days love to go to the beach and they love to get ice cream, which is like apparently like a really big enabler for sharks to like be attracted to you if you like swim after eating ice cream.
Oh. That's true,
like,
100%.
No, it's not true. That's what I'm saying.
It's based on statistics, bro. Why did you go to the beach? It was hot, man.
Exactly.
I needed to go to the beach, and
people are going to eat
so the heat actually it makes you more prone to getting eaten by sharks.
No, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't do.
No, that's 100% correct, dude.
Whatever. Andre, do you have any predictions? Because clearly,
dude, I know. I'm the stats major, okay? I majored in statistics. Right, that's what I do for my life.
Give me an extrapolation on who's going to win this series.
Well, I think it's going to be White Raw.
Okay. Care to back it up, or just
no?
Your heart goes with White Raw. I love White Raw. White Raw's a really good guy. One of the I think you know what White Raw reminds me so much of?
Who?
He reminds me a lot of Kevin Rotterdam.
Really?
Like, yeah, like whenever you talk to White Raw, he always just seems so buddy with you. I've only met White Raw once, and you know he would tell me stories. He'd like sit down and like Sake is actually a lot like that too. Sake is just like one time Sake was like randomly walking around at a party, and then like the guy was like, "Oh yeah. Hi, Sake, I'm a big fan." He's like, "All right, man, sit down, have a drink with me." And apparently that guy wakes up the next day and he's like hanging out with Sake all night and stuff like that. And it's like, Sake never met the guy. And that's the kind of guy White Raw is as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the kind of guy Kevin is too, Rotterdam as well. Rotterdam's so friendly. Every time you meet him, it's like...
There's a small difference. White Raw, last time I met him, he actually loves to go swimming, okay? And speaking of sharks, we were actually swimming right next to Muscle Beach. I don't know what it's called, but right next to Muscle Beach. And he actually picked up a shark in the water. He picked it up. He's like, "Oh, what is this? Small little fish." He picked it up, and I was like, "Oh, I have good dinner tonight."
No, he didn't. You're
True
making
story.
that stuff.
No way, bro. Why would I make that up?
Whatever. But the big story right now is that the Zealot is pushing the natural, trying to see if he can pressure Terran. Now, White Raw walks up the ramp. Sees pretty much exactly what he expects at that point. No expansion, though, and that's kind of what's tricky. Because, normally if you try to go for this kind of build, you'd be trying to go for a quick expansion. You make the command center on the low ground. So this doesn't give White Raw the information that he completely wants. Because if he solves that expansion, he knows he'd be safe. But QXC, in fact, is faking an expansion going for 1-1-1.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I think, actually, that Zealot was probably one of the most important scouts for White Raw. He should know to go 3-8 Robo. That's like the #1 thing you do when you are up against a build like this, when you know your opponent isn't going for a fast expansion. Now, QXC could potentially be going an expansion on the top. He could potentially be going 1-1-1. It could be 3 racks, 4 racks, all different types of things. So look at this. White Raw is actually going to 4-gate. Now, I've delved into this myself personally. I think 4-gate is actually a lot tougher. Whoa! Twilight Council.
Oh, that's so bad. QXC's getting close.
Whoa.
That is going to be super tough. Now, I've seen pretty crazy things in the past, Andre. Like, for example, I've seen Sase kill a Banshee that was cloaked by having his Archon shoot a proxy unit. And so, like, that kind of stuff, hypothetically, you could deal with the Banshee that way, but it's a lot tougher, especially without detection. So this, in a strict definition, is a huge build order advantage for QXC right now.
Correct. On White Raw, I mean, the best possible thing to do from here is probably get a Forge and then put up some cannons. I think that's... I don't know if that's quicker, but I think that's more efficient for the build that he's doing. Just because obviously the cannons have a really long radius and they don't require gas. And when he's going a build that actually requires a good deal of gas. Oh, he's going charged. Never mind. So he's expecting just Marine siege tanks to be walking up. I don't think he expects this Cloak Banshee to be coming in, doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean Cloak Banshee. A lot of people, because that a lot of people haven't really been using it that often because Robo is just so standard in PvP
Yeah.
right now. Because you go for a quick Immortal for defense and Observer.
And that's what White Raw is actually banking on. He's banking on his opponent not being a cloaker. And, you know, just saying, okay, well, Cloak is such a bad build because it can get pretty hard countered to just Robo play or, you know, even Cannon play. But obviously this Cloak Banshee is going to do so much damage. And there it is, spotted out. How does White Raw actually react to this? He doesn't react to it.
Well, doesn't really have much to do except run for now. He needs to drop some sort of form of detection, or he can just try to wait it out.
No.
And I guess for now, oh, good snipe on QXC to stop the probe from making robotics. You can see immediately QXC is just going to pop back in and try to see he can do as much damage as possible. Meanwhile, still massing up siege tanks back at home. Siege mode just started, so QXC still has a couple minutes before he can really make a push. But the second Banshee now arriving and whittling down the probe count. This is so painful as any Protoss can ever tell you, especially because White Raw still looks like he's not going to get any form of detection.
Yeah, what is going on, man? He just refuses to get detection.
That Banshee's about to run out of energy, though.
And the Zealots are going to get up here, see a little bit what's going on. He sees siege tanks, and of course, the bunker is almost dead, but not quite. Still, this is just so many probe kills.
Well, he does manage to pick off one of the Banshees, but yeah, that the amount of probes kill has been 22 at this point, and it's just so crippling. And the fact that, you know, White Raw really can't make anything at this point is just so painful. You can see his robotics is now starting outside of his natural, but he's losing every single probe possible. 14 probes, now 13. This one Banshee alone has 18 kills, and another Banshee's coming in. QXC is absolutely picking apart White Raw just with Banshee after Banshee.
29 probes killed, 30 probes killed, 31 probes killed. We're pretty safe to say that he's in an insurmountable advantage.
Well, I mean,
QXC is.
Yeah, I mean, because the biggest thing is that QXC has a lot of tanks as well. He's been massing up 4 tanks, and that's going to easily crush White Raw's force. White Raw, I mean, he's still trying to do whatever he can. He's trying to long distance mine and trying to pull back his stalkers that are weak, but ultimately, like, QXC is getting everything he could possibly dream of. This is like the dream scenario where Protoss does not go for Robo, and as a result spent their gas on things that are not that useful against Cloak Banshee.
Correct. Banshee finally going to decloak over here. Let's take a look. 38 probes killed. So the income tab shows 12 to 23. He should actually have 60.
Oh, man.
Nope, 50. 50. You can count, Andre.
Man. And QXC is just double the supply already of White Raw and then some, just because of the sheer amount of units advantage that he's been able to get. 31 Marines alone could confront this 8 Stalker, 3 Zealot army. There's no sentries as well. Another really important factor. White Raw does have charge finished. That's kind of like the one consolation. But, I mean, as soon as QXC makes his push with that Raven and point defense drone, waha. Some pretty ugly battles we're about to see here.
34 Marines. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, okay. Well, we do see that White Raw, he what does he have? He's got 6 Zealots and 8 Stalkers. Man, this is so tough for him to hold, but I can't really imagine him doing anything unless QXC has the most epic micro fail or somehow disconnects at this point. But QXC just has a great advantage, even sending some of his SCVs just to ensure the nail in the coffin. Why not? An all-in is truly an all-in at this point. Zealots are charging, but just as quick as they get there, they die. No siege mode even really necessary. GG, well played. QXC takes game number 1 against White Raw after killing 40 probes.
So that might seem kind of weird to you guys, but it's the fact that Cloak Banshees are so rare in today's metagame, and it's because Cloak Banshees, the thought process is, well, I can go a Robo. You know I can go a Robo. I can go 3-gate robotics facility, and it stops Cloak Banshees like that. So just you knowing that your opponent knows that, you say, well, I'm not even going to defend against Cloak Banshees. I'm going to try to get ahead for that 1-1 time, or the 1-1-1, and then just have these awesome upgrades: Blink, Combat Shields, Blink, Charge, and even maybe High Templars. That would be really good to merge into Archons and feed back, let's say, the PDDs or even the Raven / Banshees.
Would have been pretty cool indeed, but I guess now we'll never know. Until then, we'll thank our sponsors, Epson, for providing projectors for NASL Season 3. Thank you so much. for everything you do, not just for us, but for esports. We'll be back in with game number 2 between QXE and White Raw. Don't go too far. Series is just getting started. So game 2 when we return.